Okay, good evening, everyone. Let's start with the invocation in Pastor Serge Jerome's absence. Do I have, Retha, would you mind leading us in an invocation to start the meeting? Thank you. Anyone who wants to, it's not obligated, I don't want to get into that whole thing. Whoever wants to stand. Yeah.
Our heads, Father God, we come today as an humble picture before you, asking you to guide us and lead us in the way that we should go. We ask you, Father, to come into this meeting, help us to come together to help solve some of the issues that we have in our communities and our neighborhood. We ask you to bless us. Bless us right now with the blessing that you see that we stand in the need of. And Lord, touch our hearts and our minds that we all be on one accord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone will please stand for our allegiance to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everyone who came out this evening. Right? As I said, we put this meeting together because this district tends to fall short of being able to, because of working class and whatever, some people with 2 and 3 jobs, to be able to attend debates at the Lake Worth Playhouse and at other neighborhood association meetings. So that is why, one of the reasons why we provided this and included it within our first quarterly meeting for 2015. Once again, I thank everyone who did come out and take out of their time to come be here with us. We'll get right to the agenda because Jamie Brown, our Public Services Director, has another neighborhood association meeting to attend, so we don't want to keep him out too late tonight and let him get back to his family. He's just going to give us an update on the wonderful progress that we've had in Genesis. Please come up front, Jamie Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. Evening. I left a pack of these, the new 2015 refuse schedules, back on the table, just in case anyone doesn't have it yet. But we do have those in all the city buildings also, if you need extra copies. When Mark asked me here, I'm pretty much just going to answer any questions anyone has, so I was going to update you guys on some of the community development block grant projects that we've been doing in District 1. Basically, that area runs from 5th Avenue North all the way to our border at Lantana, and then from A Street to Dixie. As you notice right in front of the church here, we're in the process of finishing up 10th Avenue South from A Street to F. That was a complete project, paving, underground utilities, everything else. Later on this year, we're going to start design and construction on 11th Avenue South. That's going to be a greenway from A Street to H Street, or A Street to H. 9th Avenue South, which is currently underway, that's going to be a greenway from B to F. 7th Avenue South was a project that had been designed. It was going to be a 2-way from A Street pretty much all the way down to the tracks. We met with everyone out on site and we had a discussion. We somewhat came to an agreement, or more, we took it back to our engineers. What we came up with, and we're going to be scheduling another meeting very soon here with all the residents of the area. But we decided to go with a 1-way heading westbound. And we basically narrowed what would have been paved and added a meandering pathway, which is going to be a multi-use path for both pedestrian and bike. So there's going to be more of a greenway aspect to it, but there's still a roadway going in. We're going to bring that back to everyone, and then we'll be taking it to commission to basically get their final approval so we can get the plans finished up. Also, next on the agenda, as we get more funds in, we've been averaging around $200,000 a year, give or take, from the county. 8th Avenue South from A to F will be the next project in the queue. So we're trying. We're plugging ahead. Other than that, it's been business as usual. If anyone's got any questions, public services, I do have, it's refuse, it's pretty much everything within the city right away. So So streets, stormwater, also grounds, cemetery. Did I miss anything here? Yes, ma'am.
Maybe I didn't understand everything, but I think that your main point to revitalize the places, the paving and the biking path, things for biking too.
For 7th Avenue South? Yes, there's a multi-use pathway that's going to be right next to the road itself. And then it's going to be an extra wide pathway, like a sidewalk almost. But we're going to add in some landscaping and some trees. And we did get our renewal for Tree City USA again this year. So that's another.
If you can send me those renditions that you showed me, I think like a year ago, in digital format, I'll put them up on our website, so anybody who's interested in seeing how beautiful this is gonna look, you can go to genesislakeworth.org.
Another big thing, we got our Tree City USA designation again for this year. We just found out that this morning. For the first time ever, we actually had a citywide tree survey that took pretty much all of 2014 to get done, but that's huge for us as far as maintaining canopy and knowing exactly what species we have where and how much we have of it. So we now have an idea of how we can kind of control this growth and where we're going to put everything. So that's a really big thing we just never had before. So that's another tool we're adding to the toolbox. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering about the, the condo community out, all those communities out on Osborne Drive. The rules for trash pickup has all changed. They're treating us as commercial buildings now instead of residential. And we've been told that we need to break up furniture and put it in the dumpster. Is there any kind of written, instructions for us that we could pass out in our community to let these people know what they're supposed to do now?
So you used to be residential and they changed it?
Well, apparently, this is what I was told by your guy.
Okay. Because typically,
I don't want to mention anything.
typically 8 units and below is residential.
Yeah.
9 and above is when it turns to
Yeah.
commercial.
All right, so we used to have, follow your bulk pickup schedule that you have here, and now we're told that it doesn't pertain to us anymore. So nobody knows what to do, basically.
I'll look into that location and see what's going on there. It's always 8 and under is residential and 9 and above is commercial. That should have changed no matter what the location was.
Yeah, but we were told one thing first, and now it's changed to, we're considered commercial,
Okay, I'll look into that, but it's, chapter 12 in our ordinances, it's health and sanitation under refuse. And that's all of the rules as far as vegetation.
Well, all we get is your brochure that you pass out, and it doesn't pertain to us. And
Okay.
so that's why people are getting confused.
I will find out for sure.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
I think it's great that you're doing so much to address all the dirt roads in the city. And will you in the future be doing more to address other dirt roads like 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue North, or other ones that are?
That is the plan. Now, we do
Yes.
have limited funds as far as infrastructure is concerned, which will be, I guess, tomorrow night's meeting. But yeah, the ultimate goal, and a perfect goal, is you want to address all of these alleyways, these streets, which just have never been paved for some reason. That doesn't mean we're going to pave every single one of them. Like you can see, we're doing a lot of greenway stuff as well. But it seems like there's really not a lot of plan put into when everything was kind of laid out, because you'll see their bollards kind of placed mid-block on some of these alleyways. For some you can get through, some you can't. There's really no rhyme or reason why that was done. So, yes, sir.
Who placed those bollards in those?
What's that?
Who placed those bollards?
I have no idea. Those have been there forever. And again, I'm not sure why some you can get through and some you can't.
JP, when I asked when I first moved into the south side, I was told by some of the deputies who were formerly here as Lakewood PD that it was getting real bad when they would have chases and these guys trying to use the alleyways to get away. So strategically, some were placed to try and block that throughway traffic. I'm not sure how accurate that was, because sometimes, yeah, but that's what the information I got when I asked about that, because I wanted to know, I was curious.
That's true. That's
Right,
true.
Rita?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
Rita would know, because she has the
That's true.
institutional knowledge, she was back here.
Yeah, there was a lot of drug dealing and in the south area, and the city, they had them put those, to keep, like Mark said, keep the traffic, when they chasing them, they can't.
Making it hard
And they
to
closed
escape.
them all except, 10th Avenue here.
Well,
Is there any plans in the future to pave the alleys from Dixie to A,
from Dixie to where?
from Dixie to A Street, the different alleys? Is there any plans in the works to pave the alleys?
That's what we're doing now. Some of those are gonna be paved and some of those are
I
gonna be.
think it means north and south ones.
The actual alleys, as opposed to the unpaved nominally streets.
Oh,
Like the alley between A and B, that alley that goes all the way from 6 almost to 12.
No.
no, we would like to address it at some point in time. We're kind of trying to worry about the actual streets now and maintain those. Dennis?
Jamie, on the asphalt roads,
Yes.
what kind of gutters do you have? Are they flush head gutters are you gonna put with the asphalt? And two, the average life of an asphalt road by engineers, what, 15 years?
20 years typically.
Where'd you get 20?
Go by. Huh?
Where'd you get 20?
MUTCD, engineering.
No, I talked to the county engineers and they said 15
Well-
and 18 at the most.
No, that's the county.
This county with roads is up.
And then if you look at some of the state stuff, they say 25 to 30.
Okay, what kind of gutters?
Usually valley gutter, depending on the location.
All of them got concrete gutters.
There'll be concrete gutters in some areas where, depending on what the actual elevations are, you cannot do valley gutters, so it'll just be your standard F curve.
Yeah.
And the high point usually mid alleyway, and then your F curve's gonna convey your stormwater either east or west toward the north near structure. But on two of the ones we're doing now, we're able to use valley on at least one side. Any other questions? Well, I'll leave some of my cards in the back as well. Public Services is right there on 3rd Avenue South, right in front of the water treatment plant, usually pretty easily accessible. Email me, call me, my cell number's on there too. If you guys have any questions, any comments or anything you need help with, let me know. I'll be around. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Keith.
Thank you very much for working within our budget.
Your try.
It can't go without saying that when I first moved into this neighborhood and incorporated Genesis, and our first meeting of over 100 people, that was the issue that most people clamored for, our avenues being unpaved, so that's what I went and lit my little torch for, and it took some time, but as everybody who knows anything about municipal government, it's not like our homes that when we decide to do something and we just pay somebody to do it, it gets done overnight, but it's really gratifying to see that the city has worked with Neighborhood Association with Genesis, and I've yet to run into any obstacle when trying to do something that the community has asked me to advocate for, so it's really exciting to see, to look out there and see 10th Avenue South all finished and cars going down it and no more sandy roads. It's wonderful. Moving right along, I'd like to get up our PPSO Community Policing Unit. Joel Morgenstern and our deputy for our area and hopefully for our new area as well as we expanded our boundaries so that we can get them back out on the street. Will you please come forward?
I'm Deputy Mayor of Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I am a previous Lakewood PD officer. I've been here for 20 years. Currently, majority of the time I do work in South End of Lake Worth. I do live in the city. I live in College Park, for those of you who know me. Basically, right now, I have the statistics for the last basically 30 days in this area. One of the cases of interest happened, one happened a few days ago, one happened at the end of the year. End of the year one was involving a shooting down on Railroad, which we've had problems down there. We know some of the suspects in that area. One of the persons we are currently looking for, he's hiding out. The other case of interest is actually on the new road here. This is 10 South C Street. That was a rollover accident. That vehicle, based on what I've been told, had to be at a high speed, very high speed, to roll over and eject two people out of a car on a 25-mile-an-hour residential roadway. That would have to be a high speed. From what I was told, the debris was within like 3 houses long, which the car had to be doing severe rolls and severe speed. I believe there was 1 fatality in that incident. As far as residentials and crime of that nature, there's at least 4 residential burglaries, 4 vehicle burglaries, and 3 stolen cars in the last 30 days. Usually car burglaries, most of the time that we've been having, is open cars. Some people would say, well, I'd rather have them, you know, just go into my car and steal something rather than break my window and steal something, because usually whatever they steal isn't worth the cost of the window. Just don't leave anything of value, period, in the car that they can see, especially stuff that they can see. If you have a radar detector, if you have a GPS mounted on your front dashboard, please take it in every night because it will not be there eventually. But most of our cases are open doors. And this is happening in South End. People say, oh, it's just, you know, there's a lot of crime in South End. I live in College Park. We get a rash of them at a time. Sometimes we'll have 10 cars in one night where they go into all unlocked. Okay, every one of them. I did a special detail where I was just basically walking through College Park. I spent 3 hours walking in uniform. Okay, it's very hard for a marked patrol car to drive down a street at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we don't see bad guys that easy at night. All it takes is for someone to step up in the yard and they're out of sight. And I explained that to the sergeants. I said, hey, you gotta do something a little bit better than this because I'm walking around in uniform. We had 2 unmarked cars in College Park at the same time I was. In the 3-hour period, they never saw me. That's because every time they come by, I step up in the yard, they drive by. So I put it to the test. I went in plain clothes on a bicycle. Worked it for 3 hours after we had some residential burglaries. I was looking for a white male at the time or a Spanish male, and ended up I found a black male. So there's more than 1 vehicle burglary in that area. I watched him walk up to the car, start throwing on door handles to see if they were open. As soon as they hear the car, he walked up to somebody's front yard, stood by their front door for at least 2 minutes. Okay, people are sleeping, they don't know. They have no clue. They'd be shocked if they opened the door and find out someone standing right there. But he waited till the car passed. It didn't matter if it was a police car or whatever. Sure enough, he went into walked all the way up into a driveway up to a carport. And this was probably a good 25 feet up into the yard. Well, he passed me, you know, I was in like 10 feet up. I tried to open doors, wasn't successful, walked back out. Sure enough, I hear the car coming. He hears the car coming too. He runs across the street, stands by the door. It wasn't lit outside. Car drives by the alley, one of our unmarked cars. He'd never seen him either. Okay, and he knew that the bad guy was in the area because I had already told units that this guy was already starting to try breaking cars. We did apprehend him. He just got a Department of Corrections 6 months prior for car running. Okay. He had no immediate address, so basically he didn't even live in the city. He comes here to basically commit crimes against us. Some people, I still have the same thing when I go to HO meetings, where I talk to people, you know, when I go to their house or whatever, I say, hey, and they'll tell me, oh yeah, I seen that walking on the street, and they go, what is it, did you call? Nope, didn't call. Please call us, that's what we get paid for. That's our jobs, 24/7, we get paid calls for service. We have anywhere from 9 to 14 deputies at night when I work, okay? Sometimes there's, every one of us is available. Sometimes there's none of us available. And they said, well, we didn't bother you, guys have more important things to do. Our calls are listened to 1 through 9 priority, okay? If it's something immediate, what we call a hot call, that means it's serious, in progress, it's a felony type call, we will be there usually within a 30-second to a minute time frame, okay? You have some of the, for our side, we probably have more deputies in Palm Beach County here than anywhere else in the county. Give you an example, District 1, which is the county, they go from Belvedere to Lantana, from our city edge all the way out to 41 with 22 deputies. Okay, that's compared to our 5.5 square miles that we're responsible for. So when you call, say, hey, you don't know the people in your neighborhood, and this guy's walking in the alley behind your house, okay, you don't know who he is, and it's, you know, midnight or whatever. Normal people don't walk through the alleys where they don't belong. We want you to call us, okay, and say, hey, give us the best description you can. I don't care, you know, the best, you can't tell what race he is because you can only see his clothing because it's so dark. Give us that. can't tell either one, you can see a shadow, call us for the shadow. If I have something more important to do, our priority calls, okay, like I said, I will be doing it. That's when sometimes when some of you can call us, we're there immediately like, oh, you got here fast. That means I wasn't busy. If I'm busy on something more important, call priorities, I will be there. That's when it takes some time, sometimes I might show up like, you know, if it's a property crime call, it's delayed, there's no witnesses, it's not an immediate call, and we have other calls that are lined up. Those calls are important to be done first, but we will get to it. But like I said, if you don't call, we don't know, okay? If you don't tell me there's a problem in your neighborhood, I don't know, okay? Leaving your cars unlocked, as, you know, I tell you, it's give and take, like I said. People break windows on cars, some cars are very expensive, some people pay $200-300 to get a window replaced, or miscellaneous change that was taken in the cars. You have to deal with the other problem too, is also getting your car stolen. If they want to take your car, they want to break in your car, they're going to do it no matter what. Okay, for whatever reason your car gets targeted. Can't prevent that. Okay, is there any questions?
I don't have a question. I would just like to say thank you.
You're welcome.
The services that you guys provide is incredible. I happen to have had the flu and went to the drugstore to get some medicine. And I left the keys in the car. And I couldn't get back in. And my phone was in the car and my purse and everything. And I called AAA.
Right.
They never showed up. The drugstore closed, all the lights went out in the parking lot. A man came up to me, hey baby, my name is Shane, and I said, you better get your Shane butt out of here. And I was scared because I figured, am I going to have to fight somebody here in the dark? And it was Sergeant Wink who came by. Oh, and there was
I forgot
the
his name, but I
deputy,
sent an
there was a
email.
deputy also. We did send an email to Captain Silva. They came by. And I was frightened, I was waiting, calling, and they were so wonderful, and they stayed there with me. They called AAA, they told them that it was unthinkable, that I would be there almost 3 hours waiting for help, that it was unsafe. They stayed with me until somebody did show up to open the car and let me in, and then they helped me with, I mean, it was so wonderful. I didn't expect that kind of service, and I think that's what made you guys #1 in our district. And I thank you so very much.
That's what we get paid for. Some people say, well, why would I call the police for that? She knows her area, she knows where she lives, okay, and she's still scared. We don't have a problem coming and hang out with her. I like hanging out with good people.
It was wonderful.
Better than hanging out with bad people.
Thank you.
Yes.
The biggest problem I have with my neighbors is when they call, it's not anonymous. The dispatcher wants to know their name and everything.
It can always
They feel very nervous about that.
With anonymous calls, this is the problem with anonymous and non-anonymous calls. If you call for a noise complaint, okay, anonymous complaint, some of those calls will not get answered, okay, because we'll go there, and all we can do is, if it's, the noise is there, we can tell them to be quiet or whatever. Barking dogs, we get those calls too, believe it or not, yes. Some people say, why don't you call fish for barking dogs? We do get called for that. Unfortunately, sometimes we go to houses and the owner's not even home, they're out of town or something, and someone's just dog sitting and they're not there to take care of the dog, and the dog will bark all night. We don't have any control over that. We get parties and stuff like that. We can go down there and tell them to turn it down, and you call us, oh, they turn it back up. Well, if it's anonymous, we can't enforce the citation. Okay? For us to enforce the citation, we need a name. We have to have a victim. Because it goes from a fine to basically a misdemeanor offense. Okay, we have to keep on responding. A lot of times, if it gets to be that problem, we're going to ask and say, hey, can they tell us who they are so that we can meet with them? Putting your name on a call really doesn't really do anything, because we can still go up to you and say, hey, or call, or just tell us to call you on the phone. We'll talk to you over the phone so you don't see the police presence in your yard if you don't want us there. But we can talk to you on the phone and say, you know, you can tell us exactly what the problem is, and we'll tell you what we can and cannot do for that problem. Some people will call us and think we can do anything in the world. And we have our legalities, but we have to pay attention to those. especially when it comes into landlord-tenant laws and stuff like that, or a roommate says, oh, I want him out of here, and stuff like that. He's not on the lease. I hear that all the time. Hell, he's not on the lease, I want him out of here. Tell you something about leases, they don't mean nothing to us. It comes down to lease, they need eviction. Anytime someone moves into a household, they live there, they bought the personal belongings, they live in a house, we're not gonna evict anyone. Yes, sir.
How effective do you think your patrolling on bicycle is?
Do what?
Your patrolling by bicycle,
What about it?
how effective?
It is very effective depending on what you're doing. At that time, I was in plain clothes. Okay, it makes it very easy. And to give you an idea about calling, and this is my neighborhood, and I've spoken in my neighborhood at the HOE. I walked up, I came up on a bicycle, a gentleman was walking his dog at 1 o'clock in the morning. But in my neighborhood, that's normal. Walking your dog or sitting at your front, smoking a cigarette in your yard. It's not like down here where you have constant people walking up and down streets at all hours, at night. I rolled up to the bicycle, hey, can I speak to you? And the guy says, yeah, okay, I identified myself, told him who I was. Oh, okay. I said, if you see it, you guys see anybody, walking around late at night and stuff like that, right? He said, if you see anybody, get that. No problem. I went to another gentleman, same thing. I went on my bike. Hey, they're kind of standoffish because they don't know who I am, especially in College Park. They don't know what I'm going to do. But I identify myself, and he says, no problem. I was approaching the lady at her house, but you understand, she immediately starts moving back up to the house, ready to go in the door. I expected that. I said, hey, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm Deputy Morrell. No, in the door. Now that wasn't, I didn't have a problem with that. The problem I had was, she never called. I said, hey, there's somebody in my neighborhood, 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know who this guy was riding a bicycle. That's the call I expected. And we weren't busy, so it wasn't like, I had, 10 calls holding and the calls were sitting there. She never called. Those are calls we need to hear to let us know that there's something in your neighborhood that's not supposed to be here. Okay. Like I said, you know your neighbors. If you don't know your neighbors, some people say, I got very nosy neighbors, I don't like them. I love nosy neighbors, I'll tell you that right now. You guys are the best alarm system in the world. I love when people say, hey, my neighbor, they're Spanish or whatever, black, white, and now there's some other race coming into their yard, and I don't even think they're home. Could you send somebody to check that out? That's what we're there for. I don't expect you to go up there and say, hey, what are you doing? Please do not do that. Okay? One thing is safety. Okay? You never know if the person's armed or may hurt you, but you've already notified them. Basically, you might as well have been a police officer because they know they're probably going to call now. And by the time the call goes to our dispatch or call taker, the call taker gives it to the dispatcher gives it to us. 5 to 10 minutes has gone by for them to walk away. We want to be the people, to come up and say, hey, what are you doing? Because if they run from us, we have a legal right to chase them, apprehend them, detain them, whatever the case may be. Yes, ma'am.
And shoot your nuts.
No, we don't try to do that. Only if we have